The Gallant Few Rangers podcast is brought to you by Triple H Mortgages, the one-stop shop for all your mortgage and mortgage insurance needs. Contact them today on 01453 887 179 or hello@hhhmortgages.com. You can also find them online at hhhmortgages.com or on their Facebook page. Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few Rangers podcast, the podcast who declared the league was won a week ago, and now the lot of us are shiting ourselves that we've jinxed the team. Here to talk you through how Rangers have brought us back down to earth, Scott Hodge.
Alright lads.
And Graham Curry. How you doing, Graham?
Very well, thanks boys.
2 games to cover off this week. We'll start on a fairly high note. We'll go back to Wednesday night when Rangers beat St Johnstone at Ibrox 1-0. The team for that game was McGregor, Tavernier, Hollander, Golson, Barisic, Davis, Aribo, Jack, and a front three of Roof, Hadji and Kent. So, Scott, by this point there was 2 rounds of fixtures played without us featuring since the Hibs game, and Celtic won both their games, narrowed the gap a wee bit, but I wasn't really nervous going into this game and way how that team lined up. You and I spoke about our predictions the night before, but it was always set up to be a fairly comfortable game for Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, from what we had available, it's probably our strongest 11. One thing I will say is you can see how much Morelos is meaning to us. I think we missed him, even if he's not banging in goals. He just offers us so much. But yeah, I mean, we got through a really tough month in January, and we played with the greatest respect to St Johnstone and Hamilton, higher calibre and more banana skins, and it just seems as though in the past few games we've maybe taken our foot off the gas a bit and let complacency slip into our performances.
So that was definitely a big talking point for today against Hamilton. But Graham, on Wednesday I think Rangers still did dominate most of the ball, but it was just the final third. There was very little. I don't think too much was coming off for Roof, and I don't know, for me, for Hadji and Kent, it wasn't the lack of trying. It's just we didn't seem to be able to pull too much off.
Yeah, it's definitely not lack of trying. We keep going. It's just we keep trying to do things. We're doing the right things, but maybe bad decisions sometimes. Try to force it. Try to force things through the defence, and it's just not there at times. And I think just need to take a wee step back and start thinking about their decision making and not try and force it through. I thought we were the better team by far on Wednesday night. As you say, we controlled the game, controlled possession, and it was a deserved victory. But yeah, it's a scrape in it, 1-0. You're never confident at 1-0.
Scott, the goal eventually did come from Yanis Hadji, and it was kind of similar to his goal against Braga last February, almost a year ago. Well, back when we could meet more than 2 people at a time, we could share a couch effectively. But no, I digress. Brilliant left-footed goal for Hadji, and I think he deserved to be in the team on Wednesday night and today, based on how he's been playing the last few games prior to the day.
Yeah, it was just a spark and a moment of real quality from Hadji. It was a terrific goal. He's definitely got that in his locker. Just this technique for striking a ball. There's no question he's got quality. It's just obviously with his age, he's going to go through bad, not bad spells, but like less effective as other ones. But it was a fantastic goal. A wonderful finish, and if somebody can tell me what footed he is, it would be really appreciated. He's just so effective with both feet, which is a great skill to have.
Hadji's goal was probably the only footballing talking point for Wednesday night. Was great, Graham. I do agree with you. Rangers deserved to win the game. Rangers were the better team, but it was quite a piss poor spectacle. The biggest talking point, however, Graham, was Kemar Roof. If you've seen the papers or any television, any sort of impartial media, I say impartial with the air quotations, you'll see that Kemar Roof took out an AK-47, shot up a hospital before bombing Iran. That's pretty much how it's been portrayed. He's been proper villainised. What was your thoughts, Graham, as a resident referee? What was your thoughts on Roof's challenge on the St Johnstone player? I can't remember who it was, sorry.
It's not the greatest of challenges. I can see arguments for it being a yellow card. I don't think it necessarily is a red card. And I think I'm probably in the minority on that one. I think a lot of people are just accepting that it was a red card. I don't know. I think he's trying to protect the ball. He's just trying to get his foot the other side of the ball to protect it. So it's a clumsy challenge though, and it doesn't look great. But yeah, I think a yellow's enough. We're recording this after the Hamilton game, and Gerrard's confirmed that they are going to appeal it. I think that's the right thing to do, because the referee has seen that, looking directly at it from 5 yards away, and deemed it a yellow card. So I don't know why he's now being cited for further action when it's clear as day. We were speaking about it the last pod or the pod before to say that if the referee sees it, then there's nothing more. There's no more action on it. It's dealt with. It's just bizarre that these keep coming back to us and they keep trying to punish us. Yeah, very frustrating. But for me, I think it will be overturned. I think we're right to challenge it. As I say, referee's seen it. It'll be thrown out. It must be thrown out.
Scott, when this compliance system came into play for Scottish football, it's no longer Claire White. She's resigned, so I don't even know who's making the decisions. But when the rules in that system came into play, the promise was that this is not in place to re-referee games. It's to pick up things that what Graham was saying there, that if the referee sees something, then that's fair dues. It's to pick up things that the referee hasn't seen and support them. I don't want to sound like a tinfoil paranoid like maniac here, but is it just easier for the powers that be in Scottish football? Is it easier for them to pick up these decisions even though the ref's seen it, rather than manage the referees? Because the referees are shit up here.
Yeah, it's a good point. I know you don't like criticising referees, Graham, but it just seems to be that instead of taking action to try and improve the standard, they made a really good point. Like, these referees are part-time. I think it was Chris Boyd that said it. These referees are part-times. They might have other jobs, so it will be a tough task to try and upskill them to make the correct decision the first time. So instead, they're just going back in situations where they've clearly seen an incident. You know, they've seen that he's made this challenge. He's deemed it a yellow card. But now they're just going back, over challenges, and as a case of re-refereeing games, it just seems to be that just now, and because of the level of media that Rangers attracts with, well, especially Morelos and now Roof, it's just an easy target, and it's, if that was a tackle on a Livingston player done that, or a Hamilton player done that, I don't think it would get the same there, and I don't know, I would be surprised if it even get reviewed by the compliance team.
Before we go into the media aspect of it, Graham, do you have any defence to the referees? And it sounds like I'm not coming from the point of view of referee bash and don't want to kick them when they're down, but I think there has to be more in place to support them. I get the argument they are part-time, but it's still a very well-paid part-time job.
Scott, I'll disagree with you. I'm a big critic of referees. I'm not up for defending them. Even when I was, I was saying I'm a resident referee, I was an amateur referee, but I was still critical of them at the time and still am now. The standard of refereeing is absolutely terrible. It really is. But there's two ways you can go with it. You can either let the referees referee the game, and that's it. There's no, you don't question it. You don't. There's no retrospective action. Or if we're going to be doing it that way, you're going to need to bring in VAR to support them. If you want the decisions to be always right, 100% right all the time, or as close to 100% right, you're going to need a system. You're going to need to bring this video refereeing in and allow that to happen. And there's pros and cons of doing it. It's going to break up the game. I get kind of frustrated with VAR because it breaks up the flow of a game. So for me, it's one or the other. You either help them by bringing in technology to do it, or we just completely disregard all the technology and you don't allow retrospective action. You let the referee the game on the day, and if he makes mistakes, fine, he makes mistakes. What I will say is I don't think there's bias. I don't think you can referee a game. There'll be the odd occasion, but I don't think referees are going to be biased against one team or the other. There might be an argument to say that if you've got 50,000 screaming at you, you might sort of lean towards a certain decision and feel the pressure from the stands, but that's just down to being a strong referee. That's when you need to be coached to ignore the noise. I mean, I've done it refereeing when there's 10 guys at the side of the park with 3 Rottweilers and they're screaming at me and shouting at me, and I can feel the pressure, but I'm still able to, or I was still able to block that out and just referee the game and ignore that sort of thing. So yeah, for me, I think I would like to just do away with the technology. Just let the referee the game. But there's fundamental errors that have been made, and there was one today. I know we've not gone on to the game yet, but there's one today, right, where we've got a corner and Tav plays the corner short and then runs back. The player then plays the ball backwards and Tav goes to pick it up and he's flagged for offside. Now, that is just fundamentals and basic. That's a basic error that linesman's made. He put the flag up to say that Tav's offside, and it's not possible. The ball's went backwards, so that's just either not knowing the laws of the game or being caught up in it. But they're basic things, and our referees are getting them wrong. Our referees and assistants are getting them wrong.
I think you're totally right in what you're saying. I know you and I are probably in the minority with this, when I don't think referees are biased for anyone, but they're no bias, but I do find they do succumb to pressure easily, whether that's with the media or with fans, and they're just incompetent. I find that is the issue, and it's, we need referees as part of the game, so it's about supporting them as much as we possibly can. Where I do find there's maybe some further elements of maybe bias or hidden agendas is in the media, and how this was brought up, how they portrayed Kemar Roofs-Scott, and in the aftermath they were saying that he injured the St Johnstone boy, but he actually got his injury in the other leg 10 minutes before, and it's just at best it's just lazy media portrayal. At their worst, it's they know what they're doing. Rangers are an easy target. I'm not going to give them too much breath, but this is why fan media is a thing. This is why our podcast is a thing. So I suppose the message is don't read the record, just listen to us.
That's exactly. That was the point I made earlier. They're just looking for stories, to sell papers, clickbait. That's what they need. And yeah, it's somebody's tackle at the Tony Macaroni Arena going to create headlines, or is one at Ibrox going to do it? It's doing their job, but it's I feel as though it's influencing bringing these cases up more.
I totally agree with you there. So I think I've managed to drag it out long enough. I'm deflecting to talking about this game, but I think we need to at some point, lads. We've spoken about many highs this season, so let's just put the same duty of care into the lows. So Graham, few changes today. Rangers started with the same back five: McGregor, Tavernier, Helander, Goldson and Barisic. Midfield three of Aribo, Zungu and Kamara, and a front three of Kent, Hadji and Itten. So first of all, do you think that Itten was in ahead of Roof because they're maybe planning for the worst case with Morelos and Roof potentially being unavailable, or do you think the plastic pitch came into play for his thinking, Graham?
Neither of the two. I think it was more to do with managing our schedule. I think we're going to be playing European football shortly, so I think it was really just managing the squad, and we're playing the bottom of the league, so let's bring in some of the B squad or the the fringe players and get them a run out, and that team will be good enough to beat Hamilton, no problem. So let's do that. It didn't turn out that way. I think Gerrard's mentioned it in his post-match to say that he's going to have a look at himself as well. So I think he's acknowledged the fact that it wasn't the correct starting 11. So the midfield was just not the correct selection.
It's so easy to say this in hindsight that it's not the correct starting 11, and I don't want to sound as if I'm saying that, but surely after, I could get the argument that see if we scrudded St Johnstone 5-0 in Wednesday night's slot, as I think Kenny might have predicted, and we were coming into this game on a high. Although we won the last few games, we've still not been at our greatest. So do you think it was maybe a bit naive to drop Davis and Jack and bring in Zungu? So I know you've been a big fan for Zungu getting game time, but is that me just looking at it in hindsight, or
it's a risk? I think they did say that this is the first game in the league where Jack or Davis haven't featured in a game. So at the end of the day, like, you know, we praise Stephen Davis, and again he made a huge impact today, but he, at his age, we can't expect him to play every single minute. We should be able to rest him at Hamilton, theoretically. But yeah, it's a tough one because we need to find the balance. I said it in the midweek podcast that if Zungu can't, you know, play against Hamilton, you know, a South African international can't get up to speed against Hamilton, he shouldn't be at the club effectively, and he shouldn't be getting a permanent deal in the summer. So I mean, I think it's harsh to pick on him for this one because nobody played well today. The full team, like, you know yourself, you're playing in a team that's playing well, it's easy to look good. So I wouldn't single him out for criticism. I think that would be extremely unfair. But, you know, we say it every week, you know, if you're wanting a start, if you want regular football at this club, you need to come in, make an impact when you're given the chance. And unfortunately, we've just looked a bit off the pace today. But again, everybody was. Fair play to Hamilton. They really pressed us hard and they took a risk, and, you know, it paid off them.
I know I'm jumping ahead a wee bit, Graham, but just on the midfield, I think as much as everybody bar McGregor had a poor game, I think it was really noticeable in the midfield we didn't have a foothold, and I thought it actually looked a wee bit more controlled when Davis and Jack came on later in the game. Also not enough, but I think for me, I think we're always going to play with three midfielders, and two of them will have to be from Kamara, Jack, Davis or Arfield when he's back going forward. So I think until Arfield's back, I think I'm maybe reacting too much. Out of the three we've got left, Davis, Jack and Kamara, two of them have to play every game.
I'm not sure. I'm not ready to disregard Zungu just yet. I know he will get the criticism today, but when the team came out, I was okay with it. I actually thought it was an alright team. I would go with that. That's okay. It's a good idea to rest these players. But that was just me before the game. Now that we've watched the game and we know the result, it wasn't the correct decision. So it was an opportunity for Zungu, and he's not taking it. I don't think Kamara played very well in the midfield either. So yeah, probably lends credibility to your question that you should have at least two of the guys in that midfield, and then it's just one that gets rotated. But yeah, wasn't great. Was not a great performance at all. I thought that it was down to Hamilton though. I really do think that Hamilton need to get a lot of credit for what they've done. They did put a lot of pressure on us right from the very first minute when the boy got the yellow card. They went up and just challenged Goldson, put an arm in his face. It's a yellow card, it's not a red card. It was just a strong challenge, but that set the tempo for them, that set the tone. They were set out to get in about us and press us constantly, and that's exactly what they did. They were always on top of us. They had two strikers on top of our defence full time, and what that meant was that we couldn't play it out the way we normally do. Usually you see it getting played about between Goldson and Hollander to Barisic and then back to Goldson, and play it about the back four before it goes into the midfield, and we weren't getting the opportunity to do that at all. So it just disrupted the way Rangers play. We had to change. Well, we didn't, but we should have been changing that. It just meant that our midfield didn't get a hold of the ball and get comfortable on the ball the way we normally do with possession. So I think that had an impact on the fact that Kamara and Zungu couldn't get their game going. So, I'm not ready to give up on Zungu just yet. Kamara had a bad game today as well. You can't disregard him because he's been great all season. He was the man of the match the other week, so I don't think it would be fair just to disregard them just yet.
That's fine for me. Kamara's got credit in the bank, as do Davis and Jack. And Aribo, I don't want to sound as if I'm just picking Nzungu. Aribo hasn't done enough for me this season when he's part of the midfield three. I think his best performances is when he came off as striker. So that's why, for the options we have, I don't have enough confidence that we can drop two of them. I get Kamara's had a bad game today, but it's always the argument, if you've got two of those three or all three of them, they've got enough experience working with each other. But it's I know probably I'm reacting quite a bit. We'll all be emotional just straight after the game. Scott, Graham mentioned there about Hamilton. From the very first minute, you knew they were up for it, and we mentioned this on Tuesday night. Hamilton, 10 out of 10 games, they will try and go and get something from the game, and one out of 10 it will always come off, and that's how they try and stay up every year. I think they actually had the best chance the first half, which is when what Graham was saying there about we were still trying to play the ball across the back, even though we didn't have the time as we normally would. On top of that, the pitch, and I'm not blaming the pitch at all, but the pitch doesn't run as quick with the ball, so we didn't adapt well enough, and we were put under pressure. The Hamilton player next to the ball of Helander, just because it's a silly ball for Goldson and he doesn't control it well enough. But that was the kind of first of a Alan McGregor masterclass, wasn't it?
It was a good chance for them, but I thought McGregor done well to keep it out. But yeah, it was a weird back pass. I just think in the pitches you can't play the nice pretty football. Again, we don't want to blame it. You need to play to the conditions that it is. But knocking it about when you're last man and things like that, it's just too risky. I mean, it's fine if you're 3-4-0 up, but when it's 0-0 and you're having to withhold quite a lot of pressure, it's probably not the wisest thing to do. But yeah, as you said, McGregor was spectacular. It was, I know they mentioned it 100 times, his busiest game of the season, which is just crazy considering we've had 2 Old Firm games. So it was a really good performance from McGregor.
I thought what happened from the game, especially the first half, was that Hamilton made it a game. Hamilton made it like a typical SPFL game, in that it was like a Hamilton v Kilmarnock or a Livingston versus Ross County game. It was just no lack of quality, and Hamilton forced that. We're a top European side. We play our football in the right way, and Hamilton didn't allow it to happen. So when that gets disrupted, we're forced into a sort of poor quality run-of-the-mill SPFL game, and it just didn't suit us at all. It's no our game at all. So we're right to criticise Rangers for not finding a way around about that, but Hamilton did do really well to continue to do it as well for 90 minutes, to actually always be tight to their man, always to be pressing. They just didn't give us a minute. So you can criticise Rangers, and we certainly will, but yeah, a lot of credit gets to go to Hamilton for it.
And cold like a day will maybe look at a fair result, but just after that, I'm kind of thinking that Hamilton were the better team for most of the game. And I get that's just maybe I'm looking at the Rangers' point of view and we weren't good enough, but right now I'm feeling like Hamilton were the better team.
I've got a question that's either of these can take, and in terms like we always talk about the teams like parking the bus against us and we struggle to break down. Well, we've had a team that's had a go at us today and we've not been able to break them down. So what, we need to adapt our way. Like, I think everybody knew Hamilton were going to take a risk. We know what we've played against them enough times. We knew they were going to probably put 2 up top and really put pressure and presses really high. it's just a bit of a concern because, we moan when people just throw all their players behind the ball, but we weren't able to break this down. And they said in the comment, the analysis at half time as well, it's they were man for man at the back for a lot of the time, and we didn't take advantage of that.
Do you think it was maybe just a bit of... Graham, do you think the Rangers expected Hamilton to park the bus? I don't know why Hamilton tend to play a certain way. Do you think we did expect them to not cause as much ball? Do you think there was a bit of complacency for either managers or players or both?
Both. It's definitely both. It's a team that we've put out so arrogant to think that we can just turn up, really. I think the players have went in with that attitude today as well. And we're nearly right. We are nearly right. We're nearly getting a 1-0 victory because of it, because it is what we do. We just manage games out and we just sometimes nick a goal, but it's definitely not the right attitude to be having. We need to get this league title over the line. We're definitely complacent today. There's definitely complacency by manager and players.
So Graham, starting with you into the second half, and other than the Rangers goal, which we will come to, there was one really good bit of football for Rangers when they had a chance with Ryan Kent. I think they had a couple of half chances beforehand, but Aribo picked up the ball at the halfway line and kind of chipped the ball over the defender, and a great run by Tav. Just gets to the edge of the box and a cut back for Kent, who ends up just knocking it wide. We had a couple of half chances before that, but at this point I was thinking, right, maybe they've had a rock in half time, maybe they pulled their finger out.
Definitely. Noticeable difference. First, that was in the 50th minute, Colin. There was a noticeable difference right after half time. The pace had changed. We were driving forward with the pace that we expect to see. So yeah, there was definitely a rocket up the arse at half time because we were right out the traps and trying to do it. It didn't last very long, but we did for a 10-minute period there try to start making things happening. But the complacency is just still, 5 minutes later, we've got Tav sleeping again. He was weak in the challenge. This was a Hamilton effort, and he should have been stronger in the challenge. He's went on his left foot, and the Hamilton players won it off him in the box. But then he's looking around. He's just ball watching instead of getting back into position. So it was just complacency all over the place. We were lucky in that instance that McGregor and Hollander were switched on. Hollander made a block and then, McGregor made a save and then Hollander made a block. So we were lucky that they were at least turned on or switched on for a bit. But nothing really changed until the substitutions. That's when we seen a bit of a marked difference when they came on.
What was worrying for me with the aftermath of that chance, Tavernier and Goldson, it wasn't quite as bad what we've seen in the last couple of years, but they looked shaky when they got the ball shot. And I thought, is this going to be another scenario where they're just got to self-implode? They looked shaky, and I thought they'd take maybe 15, maybe even 20 minutes to get back into looking confident.
Yeah, I know. I think they were just shook. I honestly just think they were shook. I think, as Graham said, they underestimated Hamilton, no beating about the bush. I think to a certain extent Gerrard maybe underestimated Hamilton, and I think they thought that they could stroll that and just play in second gear and get away with it. But yeah, it was definitely a few nervy moments, and nowhere near our best football.
Is there no net argument to say here that Tav should be getting a rest? Why would we've rested Davis because he's played the last 12 in a row. So fair enough, give him a rest. Jack could maybe say that he's on the way back from an injury, so we'll try to build his minutes up. But is there no argument to say that if we're going to be making changes, it should be Tav that should be? He's played every single game, This is the time you might want to be bringing on Patterson and giving Tav a rest. And I might just be saying that in retrospect because Tav had an absolute shocker the day, but I was thinking that during the game is why are we giving Jack and Davis a rest but we're not giving Tav a rest?
That's the whole point in the hype around Nathan Patterson, that there's somebody able to come in and do not quite the job at the same level as Tavernier, but still do a job at right back. And the same with Calvin Bassey on the left hand side. That's what he's there for as well. I'm not saying Barisic looks as if he needs a rest, but we can't just over rely. We can't build a squad with the aim of having 2 players for every position and then certain positions not use it. That's so I don't know if it is just maybe a bit of hesitancy for Gerrard, but I actually never came into my thinking about resting Tavidi, and I don't know if we'll maybe just talk about that retrospectively, but if he's going to become a bit shook after losing one challenge, and that's maybe something, right, okay, can we maybe rest you for the next few games to get you back in track? So Scott, the goal, we'll stick with you. The goal came after the subs had been made, so by this point Zungu went off for Jack. A few minutes later, Itten went off for Roof, and a double change in the 78th minute. Kamara and Hadji off for Davis, and Scott Wright making his debut. And this was a brilliant bit of football. Kent comes deep, takes the ball off Borna Barisic. When Barisic plays the ball in, he makes his run. Kent plays it back to Davis, and a lovely ball through, cutting the defence. Barisic runs on, and that crosses the ball across the face of goal. And Tavernier, we've given him a bit of stick today already. Credit where credit's due. That just being that additional striker running for deep. So it wasn't quite a Tavernier goal, but I'm going to give him a lot of credit for it because he puts the pressure on the defender. It is an own goal to Easton by the end of it, but very, very well worked goal.
No, definitely. What a difference. Steve Davis just coming on and playing that perfectly weighted pass through to Barisic, and Barisic does everything right. Just fire it across there. Any nick will do. Just that danger zone, which is so hard to defend against. And as you say, Tav, putting the pressure on, he didn't score it, but if he's not there, it might be a lot more comfortable for Hamilton to defend. So yeah, a wonderfully worked goal, and definitely didn't deserve it, but yeah, it was a lovely goal.
No, it was a relief when it went in more than anything, and you thought 10 minutes ago Rangers will see the game out. Graham, there was a few chances for Hamilton before their goal. I know I asked Scott about him earlier, but Alan McGregor was fantastic today.
Yeah, he's had a right good few saves a day. First half he kept us in the game, and then there's a Callahan free kick which I think he does really well with as well. Puts that in the post. But yeah, Hamilton were at least trying. I thought the boy, his name escapes me now, Anderson. I thought Anderson played well, but his partner wasn't up to much. So I think we got a wee bit lucky that the number 9 wasn't too hot. But other than that, it was down to McGregor keeping us in the game. I thought the substitutions made such a big difference, and I didn't realise. So at half time, I was thinking, we're doing okay. We're not doing great, but the midfield are okay. It wasn't until Jack came on that you actually seen the huge difference that he made. He was just demanding the ball, had all the space in the world, and just controlled the midfield that you expect him to see. So it's not until you contrast the two, the first half and then the second half, and Jack comes on after an hour, that you see the difference. But yeah, McGregor did keep us in a few of them. I was surprised that Itten got off, because I thought Itten had a good first half, or as good a first half as he could with no support about him. So I was surprised that he came off for Roof. It was good to see Roof coming on, but I would have been taking off Kent, Hadji, Aribo at that point. I was really surprised because we're pushing for a goal, so I was really surprised that Itten coming off. Thought nothing that he'd done wrong in particular, so yeah, a wee bit upset that he came off, to be honest.
No, I think you're right, and it's probably something that we're overlooking. It's very easy when we draw 1-1 to Hamilton, we just say, we label everybody as pish. Itten done all right, Scott, and he nearly done things, if you get what I mean, where he was coming deep and he was holding the ball up, and there was maybe not enough support from him at times, and he was nearly making chances, but he was causing the defenders a lot of bother. And I think it wasn't a phenomenal game for him, but he did probably did probably get past Marks, and I think he's maybe a shout for starting on Saturday.
Yeah. His work rate was good. I think you're right. He went into good positions. I didn't expect him to come off as well, especially with his height and his presence in the box, and it was 0-0 at the time, and it gives us an option to deliver some good quality into the box, and he'll be a threat. So I was really surprised, and yeah, he done fairly well. As you say, like a good few touches and things like that. I can't remember him having many clear cut chances or anything, which I obviously would have liked to have seen from our centre forward, but yeah, he didn't get the service all game, which makes it really hard for him. So he done as well as he could, really.
So Graham, it wasn't to be the day, and Hamilton got the goal they deserved. It's a bastard to lose a goal any time, but so late in the game as well, and there was no way Rangers were going to come back for that. So what was your thoughts on how we defended the goal, but how we didn't defend the goal?
Yeah, there's a lot of things wrong with that. A lot of things wrong. I know I'm picking on Tav this full podcast here, but he was at the halfway line when that ball is in. It's beyond belief why he's so high up the pitch. He's about to close down a left back, and there's absolutely no need for it. And then the ball goes into the left channel. Davis gets sort of out muscled on it, and the ball's into the box. Header, another good save by McGregor. Pushes it wide, so he's done the right thing. I think he's made a good save and he's pushed it wide, and the boy's just done really well to put it in for such a tight angle, and yeah, a ball spaced hole basically. I don't know how he'd managed to get it through there, but it's very poor. We were talking a couple of pods ago about just managing games out, and it looked as if we were doing it. We were keeping possession well for the last 10 minutes. We were just passing it about, doing the right things, and keeping possession. And then just to switch off like that in the last minutes, so frustrating. Well, it's more than frustrating to McGregor when you see how mad he gets at it. He's shouting at everybody when that goal goes in, and rightly so. Just shut off. We just close off the mind and stop thinking about what we need to be doing. Tav's got no right being away up there and leaving Jack to deal with the left winger. So, yeah, hugely frustrating.
And as frustrating when it's something we've improved on so notably this season, our game management, seeing games out, and I'm not going to say that's us back to square one. It's not. It's just one blip, but it is frustrating when we've been doing it so well, and we've obviously improved on it as a management team and a playing squad. McGregor's reaction said it all at the end of the game, and Scott, he's man of the match in our view. That's how I want every player to be feeling right now.
Yeah, and I think this is what we're talking. We spoke about a few weeks like in terms of like contract extension and things like that. Having that personality. There's different types of leaders. We've discussed this. Tav does a different job in leading the team, but I feel as though you need that in a dressing room. Somebody that's just going to, like, he was raging. You could obviously see that, and that's the reaction you want to see. Like he's hurting right now. In terms of, like, he's got no qualms about pulling people up, pulling them up for underperforming effectively. And I don't think necessarily have a lot of people like that in our team just now who would have that. So even if he's about the dressing room, you look Stephen Davis, the most capped outfield player in Britain. His leadership's different. He wouldn't, be. I couldn't imagine him screaming at boys like for, as you say, all the mistakes that we made for that goal. I think we need him in about the dressing room just for that next year. Even if he's not number one, he's almost like a coaching. I know he wouldn't be a coach, but just see that influence and around the dressing room's always a positive thing.
So Graham, on the post-match reactions, Stephen Gerrard was interesting as well. I thought he did look quite scunnered, like in terms of probably what most of us thinking, like what the fuck happened here, but. He's held his hands up. I don't know if it was maybe a bit of a reality check. Maybe his squad isn't quite got the strength and depth as he thought it was.
Yeah, he's acknowledged the fact that he's maybe made a mistake today as well. I think we mentioned that earlier when we talked about the starting 11, but he has acknowledged the fact that he's going to have a wee look at himself there. So he's going to have a look at his own team selection and how he's geared the team up. So I think that's fair enough. He's acknowledging that. He's acknowledged there was a poor team selection there. I think he still comes across well in the interview. But I think underneath it, he's probably a little bit more like McGregor. And I think I think he's probably went through a right good few players there at the end of the game. But then to come out and just do it in the right way, express it in the interview, he's saying the right things and he's saying all the things that we expect to hear as Rangers fans, is that he has got a huge disappointment in the performance. We didn't deserve anything from the game. So he's praising Hamilton as well. So we didn't deserve anything. He's actually saying that he's relieved at taking a point. I think the question was probably put to him as, are you disappointed to have dropped 2 points? Well, no, he's actually relieved to take a point given the performance that we just put in. And he offered no praise to the team at all. He said he's got to be fair. And that's a fair comment because he has been praising the team all season and saying great effort, great performances. So when they don't do it, it is only right that he calls them out and says, not good enough. So I thought it was a good interview.
So Scott, 16 points are needed to win the league, or if we're including beating Celtic, we win the next 5 games, we won the league. I like how McGregor said, I think he was asked about win the league or something today, and he said it something along the lines that it's just about the next game, 1 game at a time, and that's all that matters. So looking ahead to Saturday, goes without saying, it's the biggest cliche ever. After a poor result, you're looking for a reaction. But how would you want to see us set up? What lineup?
I think we need to play a strong sub. I know it sounds a bit daft, but just, it's a full week of training, recovery. We should be looking to play a full strength team. Jack and Davis back in. Obviously, we need to see what happens with Kamar Roof, but I would like to see him. So yeah, just get back to basics, do the right things, and forget about the performance effectively, and just take it as a wake up call.
I'd like to see Wright getting a start. I thought he looked really promising today. Didn't have much influence, but really positive to see him coming in, demanding the ball. He's one that slit up for the challenge of being a Ranger. He was actually on it today, so I'd really like to see him get a run out. Wanted the ball, trying to do the right things. Had some nice link up play on the left with Kent and Barisic, I think it was. There was a nice wee move that he made. So let him build on that. He's came on. He's had his 15 minutes. Let's give him a start now. Let's put him in. I'd be happy to see him starting again on Saturday.
I don't think Kent's done enough for me in the last couple of months to guarantee him a starter. I know I've been banging the Hadji drum the last few weeks, but if it's keeping Kent or Hadji in for next Saturday, I'm voting Hadji in every day of the week. On top of that, I'd probably be starting Davis, Jack and Kamara, if I'm being honest, and just trusting that between the three of them, they will still drive forward. Because I think at the best, we see that as a very defensive midfield three, Scott, but a lot of the build-up play comes from deep, and it comes from Kamara linking up with Barisic and Jack linking up with Tavernier. I think you're right. I think we start with the strongest 11, and that would be my strongest three for the midfield.
Yeah. I mean, I think after seeing Kamara today, I know it's one performance. I think you've been a bit harsh and Aribo, to be honest. I think at the start of the season when he was playing that midfield three, he was doing well. He just needs to get back to basics. I know what you mean. He can be a bit more effective.
I should caveat, I don't know why I've got a very irrational annoyance at Aribo today. I don't know why I'm really annoyed at him, but he's probably not the worst. So I'll say that to the list. I know I'm being quite irrational there, but on you go.
So yeah, I know what you mean. It can look defensive, playing three sort of holding midfielders, but yeah, like the coaching staff will have a game plan. I'm sure we'll look at a few options. I wouldn't be too concerned. I think we just need Davis and Jack in there, to be honest, and whoever the last option is. I'm sure we'll see all feature anyway.
So we put a wee positive spin on quite a doom and gloom podcast this week. Apologies. Twitter part of the week. Your chance to tell the listeners what's the funniest thing you've seen all week in the world of social media, Rangers or football related, whatever takes your pick. I'm going to start us off. You see the Rangers official Twitter page. Every now and then they'll post a video of one of the players phoning a season ticket holder when it's their birthday. And so, like, it's just whatever player is saying happy birthday, hi, it's such and such for Rangers. So they put up a video of Jack Simpson, the new signing, phoning a guy, says, hi, it's Jack Simpson, wishing you a happy birthday. And the guy has no fucking clue who it is. The guy is just like, all right, thanks, pal, cheerio. And hangs up. Graham, what have you got for us?
So I seen an interview with ex-Rangers player Jason Cummins, and he's talking about, he's at Dundee now, so he's just signed for Dundee, and he's just talking about, like, you know, characters in the game that he feels as if that he has been maybe hindered in his performance and his career development because he's a bit of a dafty. But the thing that made me laugh was that he was saying there's characters in the game like Paul Gascoigne and George Best, and it was as if he was comparing himself to Paul Gascoigne and George Best. It's like, how high do you regard yourself that you think you're in the same bracket as them? Absolutely not. Yeah. Jason Cummins comparing himself to legends like that just made me chuckle.
Scott, what have you got for us?
So mine's was when we announced the Offalbo, the Bournemouth midfielder, on a pre-contract there. One of the comments below said, as a Nigerian myself, I can tell you we have a great player here. He is so great, I know, because I'm from Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, we know he's great. And that comment was from Adam Sharp. Not very Nigerian. But
Well, that'll bring us to a close for this week. All that's left to do is thank the two guests, Graham Curry.
Thanks, boys.
And Scott Hodge.
thanks, lads.
Thanks very much for listening. Take care.